are you bucking to be Commodore of the AilSail group?
I only did it once.
You did do
I
it.
did do it. Yeah. One year they said there wasn't going to be an AilSail, and somebody phoned me and they said, "I hear there's not an AilSail," and I said, "News to me. I'm going." And then I got a call from another boat and another boat and another boat. And I think that year we had 5 or 6 boats. So I was the self-elected Commodore because nobody else was going to put the trip together. So.
Now, who else has been Commodore? I've been Commodore. Mike Costin's the current Commodore.
Peter Simpson kind of co-Commodored that trip eventually.
Okay.
The two of us kind of did it together, which was fine.
Yeah. Neil's done it, hasn't he?
Neil's done it. And Neil, that trip I went and saw Neil. I think he couldn't come that year, but he helped me I did the route planning, which in itself is an amazing part of AilSail.
Yeah.
Like doing that phone calls and the prep and putting it down and having a guy with Neil's kind of experience say to you, look, you know, that's too far, or that's not a great port to go to. You know, consider going to this one. And then the way more knowledge was, if it goes bad, this is where you can alternately go.
Here's your backup plan.
Here's your backup plan. Here's, you know, kind of.
So important.
Yeah. So he helped me do all the groundwork, even though he wasn't.
But you learn from that as well.
Oh, I
learned
working with
another guy.
Like
when you're on your own, running your boat, you got nobody else usually to turn to.
And so AilSail pushes you to learn more.
Yeah.
And also pushes you to sail in new areas. Like I never sailed Desolation Sound as extensively as we did on 2 or 3 AilSails. You know, so then when I take your family up there, you know, some cool harbors that you may have said, I don't know if I can get in there. Well, no, I've been in there. It's the coolest place ever. Let's definitely put that on the itinerary.
A lot of people just do the Gulf Islands, and they figure, oh, Pirates Cove is the biggest challenge going. But if you stretch yourself, so what?
AilSail stretches you a bit, and that's good. Yeah. As did Swisher. I mean, you know, obviously racing as crew. I mean, I did some stupid things you do, like you don't know. Like, I remember one Swisher, we were running downwind with a chute, and we went into race passage, and it turned the boat about a half a turn to starboard, and we hourglassed the spinnaker about 35 feet above the deck. Well, the way you cure an hourglass, if it's not too bad, is you pull down on the corners of the chute, and it forces it to slide down, and generally it unwraps. But I'm up there for my first time as a 4-deck guy. The other 4-deck guy's sleeping because Swisher is a very long 3-day race. And so being a stupid fireman and not knowing anybody, I climbed 30 feet up the forestay and unwrapped it and slid down. And the owner of the boat was at the wheel, and he was just freaking out, like I had no harness on, and you know, I just shimmied up there and undid it and shimmied down. And I got back to the cockpit and he said, "Don't ever do that again." But
I'm the one having the heart attack.
Yeah, he was having a heart attack back in the cockpit, and there was 2 other guys, and they were just like, "Holy smoke!" But it was too late. I was already up there and undid it and slid back down. So that was pretty funny. So we all got a big, we all had a big laugh about that one. Don't ever do that again.
Well, I find on AilSail, different people have different parts of it that they enjoy. If you're really lucky, you get some guy that likes to cook and some guy that likes to clean up, like the tidy good housekeeping award guy. Some guys are curious about
if you're racing, you get somebody like Gary Payne, who's forgotten more about racing than I know about racing. Nova Scotia boy, he raced a lot.
Yep.
And I remember one Swifter we're tacking against Magnus, and then Magnus, the wind died off, and Magnus got on the radio and said, "Okay, boys, we're calling the race." He said, "Looks like we're ahead." And Gary Payne gets on the radio and says, "Magnus, get out your binoculars. We're about 2 miles upwind," and we were. He had lost track of where we were, but Gary's like every little wind shift, play wind shifts up the shore and out in the middle, and always tuning and always, and we were literally 2 miles upwind.
Did Magnus still call the race?
He still called the race, but it was just like he didn't know that we were so far up this place. So it was pretty funny. But, you know, Gary was my secret weapon. I mean, he's an incredibly good sailor.
So how much of that is instinct and how much of that is technical?
No,
how much
technique,
of that?
Technique. And, yeah, you could ask Peter about that. I gave him a thing. It's a thing that you churn. And on one side it's got upwind, on the other side it's got downwind, and it literally tells you everything you need to do at all the different wind strengths. So you dial in your wind strength, dial in your point of sail, and it tells you your crew needs to be sitting here, these lines need to be this way, the sail needs to be this flat, you need a lot of backstay, or not a lot of outhaul or not a lot of outhaul. And it's all about technique. It's all about putting everything right where it should be. And if somebody goes by you, as I learned from a 3-time Olympian sailor, they ask him, they said, your technique's unreal, you usually win, you're in this class, everybody considers you the guru. And but the guy, he asked him, well, what happens when somebody goes by you? And he said, the thing that's won me just about every Olympics, imitate, imitate, imitate. So if the guy's got his main let out at 30 degrees, and he's got it down like this, and he's got the jib like this, he said, you put your boat the same way, and wonder of all wonders, your boat really starts screaming along, and oftentimes you get by him.
So much to learn about sailing, just the adjustments, the trim, the setting of the cars, and how much sail to billow out and how much to pull it in tight. I got the fundamentals, the rudiments, but
well, that's one of the
so
things
much to learn.
On Ail Sail, one of the cool things that happens is, well, I sailed with you that time. We sailed through Portlier Pass, and you know, we'd sailed all the way across, and now we couldn't get the boat in gear, and everybody had their go at trying to get it out of shift lock and into forward, and it wouldn't go. And we'd have those same kind of things on the fire department. Some things had lockouts, and I was able to jimmy it enough to get it in gear and get it throttled up. But you know, and not that anybody was doing it wrong. And actually, these guys asked me, said, "Why don't you like those dual lockout systems?" And I said, "Because of what I experienced on your boat that year, and it was just they're too fiddly. Like you got gear shifter, it's controlling the transmission. On the other side of mine, you got throttle, it's controlling the throttle. And yeah, if you jam it from reverse into forward at high RPM, yeah, it's gonna. I have a feathering prop, and it's gonna give it a big bang, and it's gonna be hard on the motor and the clutch. But you know what? It'll go. Yeah. And if you're in an emergency where suddenly you need to stop, that's what I like about it.
Where have you sailed other than the Pacific Northwest?
I've gone as far. Well, I've gone as far down as Seattle, and as far north as the Broughams. That's.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's.
Do you want to go further?
I'd like to go further, but my wife she doesn't want to go out and do big stuff, and that's fine. Well, and the AilSail's good that way because you tend to go.
Yeah. Some of the boat owners have done Hawaii.
Yeah, Neil's done Hawaii.
Yeah,
sure.
And was it Stu that took his boat over in Hawaii and left it there?
He invited me to race the Vic Maui.
Yeah.
Stu did, which even that is just a nice honor to even be invited. And he needed a couple medics. Yeah. I would have loved to have gone, but it was my son's wedding. And I asked Val about it, and she said, if you go to Hawaii, stay in Hawaii. So it was pretty plain that I was not going on the Vic Maui. I was going to be at the wedding for my son. So
how inconvenient of your son to pick that year.
Ooh, here's this wind.
Yeah.
Wow.
I hear it picking up.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I can see the flags are just screaming.
I'm going to turn the anemometer on again and see how we're doing.
And here we sit because we planned ahead.
We did. We were in a panic to get out this morning, but it paid off.
Sure it did.
Yeah.
The swells were already starting to get fairly big because there's such a fetch down the Wanapukka. But the wind's been blowing harder at the entrance, and it starts heaping up big swells.
Well, there's a mill in here, and I don't know if it's a pulp and paper mill, but I was watching the steam coming off the stacks, and they're starting to flatten down. I thought, okay, all right.
Yeah, it's starting to come.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when we went for fuel, just in the few minutes it took us to run down to Port Townsend and get fuel and come back, the conditions had gone up.
I was just thinking, this is a clear air wind blow that's coming through here, and the guys of 100 years ago would not have any weather forecast. They wouldn't know it's coming.
About, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, I got caught out, and I was telling the guys about it. We got halfway across the strait, and it turned to a full storm.
Okay.
So full storm is like 40 to 60 knots.
Yeah.
And it went, my anemometer goes to 65, and it went to 63, and just stayed there. And the waves, the big thing was, and that's what follows, is the seas are huge, and you're taking a real pounding, and the boat can't maintain speed with the motor or the sails because you get knocked to a stop, and then the sails barely get you going. So everything takes a lot longer, and we just got pummeled. I mean, I ripped the main, I ripped the jib, the motor. Like I said to Val, it took like 5 years of wear and tear out of the motor. I mean, it was just really horrific conditions. And you just don't want to get out in this stuff. And after you've been in one of those, you go, no, I'd sooner leave really, really early and not be out in that.
Yeah, that's not fun.
It's not fun, and the seas get really nasty.
And you got a lot of guys depending on you.
Oh yeah,
get them home.
These guys, they were out there and they wanted to do heavy weather sailing, but 2 of them were very inexperienced, and they were scared, and I don't like scaring my crew.
No.
And we definitely reached that break-even point. We're off the bar at Comox. Well, there's no way you would sail across that dredge channel in that kind of a storm.
No.
So I was, in my mind, I was like, we got to decide whether we can make it under the lee of Hornby, or we've got to turn and run up the strait with this thing behind us and just hope we do okay. Like find a place where we can get up the strait and nip in, because it was certainly reaching that point. So yeah,
what would you say to anybody that's asking about this AilSail thing and might want to try it out and so on?
I'd tell them to go in a heartbeat. Yeah, because it's a good group of people.
So,
it remains a good group of people.
Do they need to prepare? Do they need to take sailing courses? Do they need to take swimming lessons? Do they need to take any, or can they just step on board and help?
No, I would say it's like my Swiftsure experience. Just you know, bite the bullet and go, because there's enough experienced guys, and you learn quick. I mean, you know, if the guy's any kind of, you know, you'll learn real quick.
But I like going up to the Desolation Sound is you're getting into country that looks exactly what Captain Cook, Captain Vancouver saw back then. Untouched, unblemished. You get into areas where it's absolutely primeval.
Like he poked his nose in there, and apparently the weather was very low to the water, and called it Desolation Sound. And it's anything but desolate. It's incredibly beautiful, as you know.
What sort of bird, mammal, wildlife can you see on a trip like this?
We've seen killer whales 2 or 3 times on AilSail. A couple times when I was returning the boat to Sydney, Neil had killer whales between his boat and mine, and he told me to turn around, and they were right. I would have seen them because they were right behind my boat. And it was just unbelievable. It was just so cool. And this last year when he was on the trip, they came to our side of the boat, and no one was on deck, and I radioed Neil and said, "Get your people up." And he got some unbelievably good photos with the couple that was with him. They got some just incredible photos. So they came right to their boat. So I kind of was able to return the favor, which is kind of cool. You know, another thing on AilSail over the years, you know, like my boat that one year played up with the heating, and took a lot of work to figure out why the boat was overheating. But, you know, I've been towed, and nobody makes a laugh out of it. Just your boat quit. That's what you do. You just...
Things happen.
You know, if the guy can sail, you sail till you're off the harbor and you get towed in. I've been towed once by Stu and once by Bill, and that's fine.
Yeah, but you've seen a lot of like bald eagles.
Oh, bald eagles
all over the place.
Yeah,
have you done
osprey, porpoises, Dall's porpoises, and regular porpoises. Yeah. So AilSails, you know, gets you out there at the time of year when I think you see more of them. You know, once you get into June, July, there's a lot more boats. I think they tend to shy off to the
you want lots of seashore. You got all sea urchins and starfish and oysters, mussels.
Yeah,
all
of course
stuff.
I'm allergic to those, but everybody else harvests them and eat them.
When red tide comes in, I'm allergic to it.
Like you said, you got to have a good cook. So
you got to have a good.
Jay's
cook.
pretty good. He was sad that I couldn't have Caesar, so he found non-clam based Caesar mix. So I can have Caesars this year. So you know, it's just stuff like that. You know, a lot of fun. Yeah.
It's good. And talk about the wind-up dinner. What do you like about the wind-up dinner? We have a traditional one on
Well, some of them have been in bars that were too noisy, really, to have a lot of fun, unless we had, you know, it's nice if you're in a room where it's just AilSail people, and, you know, then you can, you know, poke good humor at people, and, you know, and have a good skit or whatever, and so.
Some of them get a little edgy.
I've also really enjoyed on AilSail is a number of AilSail, the musicians that have been able to come. And, you know, I'm not very good with the harmonica, but a couple times they made me get up, one time in Bedwell, and we went up and performed in front of the whole bar. Well, I'd never played harmonica in front of people, just did it for fun, but never performed. And they were like, "You were awesome," and you're like, "Wow, geez."
Well, I'm hoping one of the videos we get this trip is going to be of the boys with their music.
Yeah. So if we can, I've been every night. I've been playing with. Playing on board our boat, so with Jay, so that's been really cool, and
What do you, let's say that you're working off the AilSail provisions. What are some of the meals we tend to have?
Well, Jay, of course. Well, I can tell you one story. The first AilSail, and Jay had organized it, and the food was delivered to the boats. I got to tell you, as a non-AilSail and not knowing what was going to happen, having a guy knock on my boat and go, "All your provisions are here at your boat." I got to tell you, that just absolutely blew me away. this guy's like, well, you know, here's the frozen stuff. Maybe we should put that on board first. And
Yeah.
you know, da 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 da. And they warned me to have. I have an ice box, so they warned me to have ice ready. And
Right.
you know, so we packed everything board, and then there's this fabulous menu that, you know, today's salmon day. Everybody's going to be breaking out their salmon and thawing it and having salmon. And you know, that's just that they had a wonderful menu, and Jay, for our trip, has pretty much followed that menu.
Mm-hmm.
So the food's just been awesome, and of course he's a good cook. Which,
yeah,
as you said, it's nice to have a cook on
it's
board.
nice to
last
have
year,
a cook.
last year
Hey,
I had.
cookie.
Last year was Jim Harris, and he's an incredibly good cook.
Oh, yeah.
The Welshman.
Oh
And
yeah.
he loved it. We were going to canoe the Yukon this year, Jim and I, and it's looking like with Val's dad dying, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So I'm really sad because I really want to canoe with Jim, and he's getting on, you know, in years. So I don't know how many more years we can put it off, and he can still be healthy enough to canoe the Yukon. So, and this being the 150th year of Canada, that was kind of a.
Oh,
I really wanted
that
to
would
canoe it
have
on
been
the
a great
150th
reason.
history.
Yeah.
The canoe has a lot of history with it. It's a 50-year-old canoe that was built for Expo '67, so Canada's 100
It
years.
is. It is 50 years old.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So I restored it. That's what I've been doing leading up to Ail Sail. I've been working on it every day.
Yeah.
Some girls are racing it. My cousin's daughters are racing it in the Yukon Quest.
Yeah.
Paddle to the midnight sun.
Yeah.
And then we were going to go out and take the canoe and paddle the same route, but just for fun.
Yeah.
But it's looking like that's not going to happen. So, yeah. But having Jim along, he loved it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to get somebody new on board, and they see the Ail Sail through different eyes. You know?
That's true enough.
And he loved
You
it.
see
He-
AilSail through
yeah,
the other people's eyes.
So he loved all the things we talked about. He loved the
Oh, yeah.
camaraderie. He loved the menu.
Yeah.
He loved the music. We had a lot of fun, you know. And
You know, you can tell people about AilSail, and on any trip, 80% of it turns out the way you talked about it, and 20% is the unknown, the adventure. Everything's a twist. Like this this gale that's coming in, it's just showing up now. You can't plan on those things,
No.
but you work around it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, I mean, if the gale continued, you know, for 2 days, you know, when we couldn't get to Victoria, I mean, if we couldn't get there, it wouldn't be the end of the world.
Yeah.
If we had to sail back down the channel to Sydney
Yeah.
or whatever, we'd do what we had to do to get there. And,
Well, I'm going to
but
release
you're
you.
right. It's,
Yeah.
release me. We've talked.
I release you back to your boat, back to your crew.
I hope you got some good.
I'm going to kill the camera now. That's exactly what I wanted to get.
Pleasure, as always.
Thanks, Lorne. Good. Now we can relax. I'll be doing a lot of editing.
Yeah.